This show brought to you by WP Relax. No matter whether you have an existing site, want to transfer your site, or need to start a WordPress site from scratch, we have a plan to suit your needs. So say bye-bye to WordPress problems and relax with WP Relax.
Hi everyone, this is Ahmed Karimli and welcome to Be Efficient TV. The mission of this web TV show is to boost the efficiency of your business and life through tips and tricks from leading experts. And today I have with me Brand Cooper. He is a New York Times best-selling author of The Lean Entrepreneur, and he is the co-founder of the Moves the Needle. Welcome to the show, Brand.
Thanks, Ahmed. Good to be here.
Thank you. So how did you become an author and started this speaking and the startup, became a startup expert?
Good question. It's like all things, it's a little bit of luck, a little bit of timing. But I worked in a number of startups back in the 90s during the dot-com boom and early 2000s. And after I left my last startup, I was doing some marketing consulting, and it was really in the days when marketing and analytics was first becoming available. And so I was trying to bring some of the rigor of the engineering side of the house to the sales and marketing side of the house. So in other words, can we start tracking the return on marketing investment? So instead of what, in my view, used to be sort of this fluffy side of marketing, spending all of this money, whether or not it results in sales, we were trying to bring sort of some of this rigor that scientists and engineers tend to have over to the marketing side. And so I was blogging about that in 2008, 2009, and somebody said, well, you should really go read Steve Blank, who had written or compiled some lecture notes in the 4 Steps of the Epiphany, and he had invented this methodology called customer development. And Eric Ries was just starting to blog about the lean startup stuff, and it was very similar to my sales and marketing R&D, which is what I called my marketing service. And so I thought, well, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. And so I sort of jumped over to what those guys were doing. And it was really just a small number of us that were talking about the lean startup stuff.
He was talking about the why, you are talking about the how, right?
That's sort of what that's in the book for sure. But back then we were all kind of talking about everything. How does this work? And does it work for business to consumer as well as business to business? And we were all just trying to, bounce ideas off. So then I ended up writing my first book, which was The Entrepreneur's Guide to Customer Development, which was, this cheat sheet to Steve's book, but also introduced a bunch of other concepts like, lean startup and Dave McClure's pirate metrics and the concept of product market fit. And, we had a very target audience. There were startup people, mostly concentrated in Silicon Valley. So it was a very tight market segment. And the book did very well. And so that sort of, suddenly launched me into workshops and speaking. And, then, that book did well. So then the publishers start coming after you. So, I had a lot of ideas in that area, but also it was timing, so who would have predicted that all of this, turned into a career? I certainly didn't.
And when now you look at your future or career you think that you like to be more as an author, an expert and consultant, or to be as let's say a startup, guy or founder, or maybe consultant for startup? Which one you like more? Right.
So I don't like to do consulting for startups because they don't have much money, and I don't actually want to be taking money from them. So I do a lot of mentoring and advising, but I don't try to take money from them. I enjoy doing speaking engagements. I love being, being interviewed. I like being able to share some of the things that I've learned and some of the things I've written about. But, I'm also a product person. So that was in my startup days, was really about building products. So who knows? It's hard to predict the future. So maybe I'll get back to that. Or maybe we'll do both. I don't know.
What's your background before that? Like you failed in these startups and you struggled and you wanted to learn more about this, area. So you become an expert in it. Take us through the story.
Well, so I've always been sort of a, hard to pigeonhole, kind of a jack of all trades, right? So I went to college, I studied economics, I also minored in English, so I did a lot of creative writing and wrote a novel after school. And but I also took calculus and chemistry and computer programming, and then sociology, psychology, history. So I was taking a little bit of everything, and my career sort of reflected that as well. So I was kind of the IT guy when I came out of college and got my first job. So I was part analyst, but also part, uh, you know, hey, take care of the computers and take care of the software and do a little database programming. So then I kind of became an IT manager, and then I joined my first startup as an IT manager. And then I started running the professional services group and helping sell the product. So I was converting from IT manager into more of a marketing and sales role. And then when I was at my second startup, I helped start a company that lasted, boy, only 6 months because the dot-com crash. And then I joined another startup and I ran product management and marketing and business development. So I think, again, sort of like my college career, I had all of these roles inside of a startup, which gave me, I think, a lot of perspective on, how these organizations need to work together and when they have problems and what those problems are. So, I've had some successes. The last startup I was at, I helped grow revenues from like 3 to 6 million to 15, $18 million. And so we had a good run there. But I also know that I had a lot to learn and made some mistakes there too. And so I think it's a combination of you learn from successes, but I think you actually learn more from failures. And so uh, I think that's you combine that then with my writing and sort of this analytical ability. I think the
It works as a
hopefully
package.
yeah, it comes as a package, and then hopefully that's what helps me articulate it in a way that other people can learn. And I think one of the points, maybe we'll get into this, but I think one of the things about the lean startup movement is really most of the concepts aren't new. Successful entrepreneurs have been doing some of these things forever, but I think that the timing is right again. I think that the way we can instrument our products and the way we can use agile development methodologies and the way that we can use social media for marketing, I think a number of factors have come together that makes this the right time for lean startup in particular. And the real genius, I think, in the end, around customer development and lean startup is that we can put it in sort of this teaching framework. It's the lexicon, and it allows us to write books and then go teach how people can implement this. And it's not like it's a blueprint. It's not a one size fits all, but it's teach the methodology so somebody can, digest it, understand it, and then kind of make it their own. So in the end, entrepreneurs will make it their own, and then that's what will lead to success, hopefully.
Then you've co-founded Moves the Needle. What's Moves the Needle and what's your role in it?
So uh, one of the nice things that's come out of all of this lean startup is that large companies know that they need to move more quickly now in order to compete. And they need to jumpstart their innovation practices. And so Moves the Needle is really about bringing lean startup to large enterprises. And so we're working with some of the top brands in the world to teach them lean startup techniques and to also help them build the internal systems that support innovation and even teach new skills to leadership. So that's what Moves the Needle is all about, and that's sort of my full-time gig right now.
So it's like consultancy for big corporations to teach them some of the stuffs about startups?
That's right. We teach them how to be startups while at the same time, how do they protect their core business? So it's not like you can just turn a large enterprise into a startup. They've got existing brand, they've got legal requirements, they've got compliance, they've got salespeople that know how to sell their existing products and marketing people that know how to market and keep their brand up. So those assets actually have to be protected. You can't just turn that into a startup. But on the other hand, there are different business practices in order to innovate again and to move faster. So the way we bring these methodologies in is to be able to do both of those things simultaneously.
Talk about in your material about becoming a visionary, how to become a visionary and creating a business.
So usually the way I introduce this is that the visionary, the way we know about it or understand it now is really a myth. It's perpetuated by the media. We love to tell stories here in the United States. I don't know how you tell me whether this is true uh, in your neck of the woods as well. But here in the U.S., we love to tell stories about this lone wolf solo entrepreneur that's tinkering in his garage and then has this epiphany, this light bulb goes off, right? And suddenly they've figured out this product that's going to be successful, and all they have to do is build it, and then the market will beat a path to their door, and then suddenly this overnight success, and they become a billionaire, and So this is we tell this about. Obviously, Steve Jobs is usually the big example of this, but you can go back to Thomas Edison and Henry Ford, and really fundamentally the story's not true. Usually these people are cobbling together existing technology. They do have some insight, and they have a vision about how to apply that insight. But inevitably, the market will tell them something different, that they have to change something out of that insight. It's something, part of that vision has to change. And so I think that a vision is important in order to rally the company and rally people around the idea. But the real breakthroughs come when you're able to listen to the market and choose where the market's going to pull the company to get the big success. And so that's the trick. And so in my
So the trick to
definition,
become flexible with the market and move where the wave is taking you?
right. So it's not that you must stick with your vision, that you must have conviction about your vision. Now, you do have to try to break down walls, right? It's not being so flexible that, the first whim that you hear about, then you steer the whole company to that whim. That usually doesn't work either. You're trying to be really breakthrough innovative. You have to try to bust down walls. If it was easy, the innovation would have happened a long time ago. So innovation is hard. And so you have to persevere. But at some point, what you find in these successful businesses is that you uncover the market is actually pulling you, strong pull in a particular direction. And that's where the big opportunity is. And so in my estimation, the true visionaries are the ones that don't stick to their original vision. The true visionaries are the ones that are able to find that strong market pull and have the flexibility, as you suggest, to move in that new direction. And not only that, but the visionaries are the ones that hire brilliant people, like Steve Jobs had John Ives, who was really the designer of the iPhone, and you have these different and Wozniak for that matter. You surround yourself with these people that are strong and have strong opinions and strong skills. So it's not just this solo lone wolf entrepreneur that comes up with these great ideas. It's about the team. It's about collaboration. It's about taking things that already exist and putting them together in a new way.
So you have a vision, a bit of hard work, luck, and flexibility, and you move on with the market. How about how to create the business model for this vision?
So in my opinion, and I'm not sure what others think about this, but in my opinion, having a deep customer empathy, understanding your customers deeply, understanding the problem that you're trying to solve will determine the other aspects of your business model. And so, for example, if you chose a business model from the outset, right? You filled out your business model canvas and you've got particular partners in mind, and you've got, this is the way I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it online. I know how I'm going to reach them is through social media. And you have all of these ideas about your business model. But then what you find is that your customer segment are people that require a field sales team instead of an online sales, and require a different set of partners, maybe resellers or systems integrators. Maybe they need hardware instead of just software. Those answers actually come from the market segment that you end up going towards. So in my estimation, predicting all of those things beforehand is sort of just like writing a business plan that fails in the first day of being out in the market. So it's fine to speculate on that, to document your assumptions based on all these business model aspects. But in my estimation, those things fall out of where the market pulls you.